All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about the kind of skills students pick up from EHF Olympiad exams. And, these aren't just for acing a test. We're talking about skills that seriously help them out later in life, way after they've left school.
Have you ever seen this happen? A really bright student, super confident, knows their textbook backwards and forwards. But then, on an exam, a question comes up that's just a little different, and suddenly it's panic mode. Even though the idea behind it is the same, that tiny twist just completely throws them for a loop. So what's going on there? And more importantly, how do we fix it?
So, here's what we'll cover. We'll start with that exam room panic, then look at how to think beyond the textbook. After that, we'll get into the lifelong skills this builds, how it paves the path to success, and finally, why it's about so much more than just winning a medal.
Okay, first up, the exam room panic. This is all about why a small change can cause such a big problem, even when a student actually knows the material.
So how do we get past that? Well, it's about thinking beyond the textbook. And this is exactly where Olympiads come into play. They're designed to shift a student's focus from just memorizing facts to actually applying what they know.
And this slide just lays it out so clearly, doesn't it? On one hand, you've got the old method, memorizing solutions. That's a direct path to panicking when a question looks unfamiliar. But look at the other side. When you focus on applying concepts creatively, something totally different happens. You build a much deeper understanding, and just as important, you build real, lasting confidence.
All right, let's talk about building those lifelong skills, because that's what this is really about. The abilities that stick with you long after the exam is over.
And the first one is a biggie, a really strong problem-solving ability. You see, EHF Olympiad questions aren't just plug and chug. They're built to make students pause and actually think.
And over time, this thinking process becomes a habit. It's second nature. Instead of rushing for an answer, they learn to stop for a second, to break the problem down into smaller, more manageable parts, and to really figure out what the question is asking. Honestly, that kind of structured thinking is like a superpower, not just in school, but for pretty much everything.
Okay, next up, improved decision-making skills. And believe it or not, this comes directly from the way the exams are structured. Think about it. A lot of these questions have multiple choice answers, where, at first glance, a few of them might seem right. This forces students to slow down, to think carefully, and to weigh their options. They have to practice choosing the most logical answer, not just the first one that looks good. It's basically a training ground for making smarter choices down the road. And when you put all this together, the problem-solving, the decision-making, it builds something absolutely crucial, confidence. And I don't just mean feeling good about a subject, I mean a deep-seated confidence in their ability to tackle any challenge that comes their way.
Competing with students from all over, from different schools and regions, does something amazing. It teaches them that struggling with a tough question isn't a sign of failure. It's just part of the process. It's how you learn. And that experience helps them develop the ability to stay calm under pressure, which is just priceless for everything. Big exams, job interviews, you name it. So, we've talked about these amazing skills, but let's connect the dots. How does this early training actually lead to real, tangible success later on? This is the path to success.
Well, for starters, it gives them a massive edge in other competitive exams. Because they're already comfortable with tricky, logic-based questions, they're way better prepared for the big ones. I'm talking about tests like JEE for engineering or NEET for medical school and other huge national-level exams. They have a serious advantage because they've been training for this kind of thinking for years.
And if you need proof of just how valuable these skills are, get this. It's not just about being better prepared. It's about getting recognized at the absolute highest level. As this quote says, top institutions such as the Indian Institutes of Technology, IITs, offer direct admission opportunities to students who perform exceptionally well in international Olympiads. Wow.
Let that sink in for a minute. We're not just talking about good preparation anymore. The skills you build for Olympiads are the exact skills that India's top universities are actively looking for. It's a direct line from this kind of training to a seat at one of the best institutions.
Which brings us to a really important point. In the end, this is about so much more than a medal or a certificate. It's really about building a mindset for lifelong learning.
Because what students really walk away with are these core habits that will last a lifetime. A sense of curiosity, the confidence to think for themselves, and a solid problem-solving framework. I mean, those are the real building blocks for success in anything they do.
And that's why starting early is so important. When you introduce this way of thinking from a young age, we're talking even from class 1, it's not just a skill they learn, it becomes part of who they are. It gradually shapes their whole approach to learning and to life's challenges.
And that's the whole mission behind organizations like the Edu-Heal Foundation. They're creating the platform that helps students develop these essential skills they'll need for higher education, for those tough competitive exams, and for building great professional careers.
So that really leaves us with one final thought.